Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all the gates of your mind. Close your ears, your nose, your mouth. Close your eyes, your natural sight. For we know we are blind and we need to see. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us as another Shabbat, to cease from our labors, from our own ways, our own pleasures, and doing our own thing. We may ride upon the high places, upon the wings, upon Qahalath, Ruach, that he may feed us with our Akla, a call, even as it was in the beginning. We commanded man to eat the fruits of the trees, every herb-yielding seed that was going to be for food, for men, for human beings, for Adam. He gave it to us for our healing of our body and nourishment to our soul, that we may be able to ride upon the high places and be able to put away all of the filth inside of our bodies in the flesh and ruach. So this Yom, we acknowledge the one, Yahushua Mashiach, who came down from the highest Shamayim and came down to the earth as a seed planted in the earth and grew up till he was 33 years old, and then he left the earth and he's soon to come back and redeem and to come and gather the people whom are patiently waiting for him. But everybody's not waiting for him. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's a watch, man or woman. They're not shemaring and guarding his commands. So this year we acknowledge the Yahuwah Elohim, who sits in the highest Shamayim on his throne, governing the Shabbat Shamayim with his Ben Yahusha, who helps govern the 7 Shamayim and his Malakim, and all those who acknowledge them in the earth, whether on the top of the earth or in the center of the earth, or whether it in the highest Shamayim or in the 7 heavens. For we know the Yahuwah Elohim gives us life and understanding and wisdom and knowledge and understanding within our inner man, our inner being, and we should walk accordingly as he prescribes and he commands. So this Yom, as we move forward in Ahal, we move forward in joy, peace, patience, meekness. They say patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Self-control within ourselves, self-control within our heart, self-control within our thoughts, self-control within our inner being, in our eyes and our ears and our thoughts. For this is the gateway into the Shamayim. So the gateway into the Malkuth, the kingdom. And the only way to get there is through one person. For there's only one entrance where you can get in. He said, no man can come to me except the Abba who sent me draw him. And Yahushua said, I'll raise him up in the last day. He said, it's not written in your Torah. I said, you are Elohim. I said, you are gods. And he judges in the midst of the gods. And if any man doesn't believe this, he says, let every man be a liar. He made you an Elohim. For he has not dealt with any other people but the children of Yasharah. Those who are actually redeemed by not by corruptible things, but silver and gold, and precious things and things that people can store up, but with the precious blood of Yahushua Mashiach. So this is the book of Ode Shalom. Odes of Solomon, chapter 10. Odes of Solomon, chapter 10. We're going to start there. Odes of Solomon, chapter 10. Ode Shaloma, or Shaloma, as some would say. Odes of Solomon. Here we go. Odes of Solomon, chapter 10, and verse 1. It says, Yahuwah has directed my mouth by his word, his debar. It says, and has opened my heart, my mind, by his light. So we hear, opened my heart and his mind by his light. Right, just like Or that comes into, he said, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man open, I'm gonna come in. He mean, he gonna open your heart. And guess what happens? You're gonna have light on the inside. And it says, and he has caused to dwell in me his immortal life. He said, he has caused to dwell in me his immortal life, right? His immortal life, right? So this is the book of Sirach. This is the book of Sirach. Let me go there right quick. Go there right quick. This is the book of Sirach. Book of Sirach, chapter, I think it's 29, actually chapter 8. Book of Sirach, chapter 8, verse 17. It says, now, when I consider these things in myself and ponder them in my heart, my mind, how to be allied with wisdom is immortality. So you look at it, he said, be allied with wisdom, or he say be an ally. Just like the governments of the world are allies with other countries to be on guard from other countries. But he said to be allied with Hakma is immortality. Why? Going back to ODE Shalom, chapter 10, verse 2. It says, and he has caused to dwell in me immortal life, which means if he's caused to dwell in you, he's caused wisdom to dwell inside of you. He's caused hukmah to dwell inside of you, and that's immortal life. And permitted me to proclaim the fruit of his shalom, his peace. He said, he's permitted me to proclaim the fruit of his peace. Why will he give you, he said, the fruit of his peace? Right, so this is the book of Galatians. This is Galatia, how you say, Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. Right, and it says right here, but the fruit of the Ruach, right, so we talk about, he's talking about proclaim his fruit. He said the fruit of the Ruach is what? Love. That's the number one thing, Ahal. He said if you don't have Ahal, you have nothing. You are nothing. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, he said you ain't got nothing. You can understand all languages, all the shun of all malaki. You can go habitate and you can understand everything. But he said if you ain't got no patience, and guess what you got? You ain't got no love in your heart. So the fruit of the Ruach is what? Ahal. Joy, that's love. Joy, that's simcha. Peace, which is shalom. Patience, which is arak in Hebrew, right? But it says, right, arak. Kindness, which is kasah. And what else? It says goodness, which is tov. You gotta have to be good. It's faithfulness, amunah. Gentleness, right? That's ta'ud, right? All these things are point. That's awur, anua, right? And then also self-control. That is something that people don't have today. But it says right here, against such things there is no Torah, no law. There is no law to condemn that. How are you going to condemn that? Why would you make a law to condemn self-control, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, kindness, patience, peace, joy, and love? Why would you make a law to say that's wrong? But that's what they do in the world today. They make it seem like it's wrong to do that. Why would you make a law? There's no law for that. Because the law is only to show you what sin is. That's what a law is. When you break something, when you do something wrong to somebody, when you do evil in the world, you got a law to tell you that's wrong. And then you have a law to tell you what to do when you do wrong. And that's not really usually turn out to be a good thing. And it says, and those who belong to Mashiach, Yahusha, have crucified the flesh. They stopped. Which means they crucified their flesh and they took on these fruits. Because these are Yahuwah's fruit. With its passions and desires, because the desires to do opposite. I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not performing that. True love can't be said. It has to be performed. It has to be performed. And it says right here, if we believe by the Ruach, let us also keep in step with the Ruach. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another and envying one another. Why? Because you start envying and you start provoking people, you know the type of person human beings are. We destroy the earth the first time. What you think gonna happen to your life if you do that to somebody and you start provoking people and you start envying somebody? What do you think gonna happen? Envying makes you kill people. Envying makes you blow up a whole city or your whole neighborhood. Envying make you destroy your family. Because he said by wisdom, he said I caused wisdom to dwell inside of you. That's immortality, right? So this is the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms, Proverbs chapter 24, verse 1. Mashali Proverbs 24 and 1. Mashali Proverbs 24 and 1. It says, be not envious of evil men and women. He said, why would you be evil of evil men and women? They ain't bearing no fruit. Why would you be envying them? This is what he's talking to Galatians. It said provoking and envying one another. Why would you be envying and provoking? Why would you be envying evil men? Evil men and women. Nor desire to be with them. He said, don't even desire to be with them. Why would you be desire to be with them? He's talking to people who claim they keep the commandments, who claim they keep the Torah, who claim they believe. He's saying, don't desire to be with them. He said, you evil? There's nowhere in the world you should be doing that if you say you believe in the Torah. And get what it says. For their hearts devise violence. He said their hearts devise what? Because we just read in Galatians, they crucified the flesh. Why would their hearts devise? They devise kamas. and their lips talk of trouble. That's all they think about. Verse 3 says, by wisdom, because wisdom is immortal, wisdom is immortal life. A house is built. He said, I'm going to build it. I'm going to build a house. I'm going to build a body. I'm going to build myself up. But he said, if you ain't building it by Hakman, you ain't building nothing. And by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled in all precious and pleasant riches. Verse 5 says, a wise man is full of strength. A wise man or woman is full of strength. And a man or woman of knowledge enhances his koach. His koach to do what? His strength to do what? His might to do what? To fight off these flesh. To fight off the old person. To fight off the desires and wants of the old individual person. That's what you actually are increasing your knowledge and wisdom for. You'll battle with yourself. You'll battle with your own inward mind and your own inward thoughts and your own inward life. That's what you're battling. That's what you're enhancing your might for. I'm enhancing my might to go battle somebody. No, you're enhancing your might to battle you. And get what it says. By wise guidance, you can wage your war. Wage your war with yourself. Because you're going to be warring within yourself, which war against your own body. And in abundance of counselors, there is victory. He said, look, we say counselors, there is victory. He said, counselors, there is victory. He said, with counselors, there is victory. Right, so this is the book of, I think this is it. This book of, here we go. This is the book, yeah, here we go. This is Psalms 119, Ta'alim, Psalms 119 and 22. Psalms 119 and 22. Psalms Ta'alim 119, 22. It says, take away from me scorn and contempt, for I have kept your testimony. There's a reason why he had to keep his testimonies. There's a reason. Verse 23 says, even though princes sit plotting against me, he's like, even those princes sit and they plot against me. He said, these are rulers, governors, magistrates, kings, counselors, senate, general assembly. He said, even though all these people, high ups, scribes, Pharisees, doesn't matter, Levi, Louis, what do you think Yahushua's saying right here? He's saying what? Your servant will meditate on your statutes. This because what's going to happen when people start doing that to you? Demons going to start, Shadim going to start coming to your mind. You see what they're doing? You see what's going on? You see what's happening? You see what they're getting ready to do? You see this? All they're doing is talking about trouble. What's going to happen to you? That's all they're going to talk about. And guess what people want to do? They want to be with these people. And he said, you see what they're doing? He said, but I'm going to meditate on your statutes. He said, I'm going to meditate on that. Verse 24 says, your testimonies are my delight. He said, why would he say your testimonies are my delight? Why you gotta be your delight? Because they are my counselors. He said, many counselors, you can wage a war. Because that's what you're increasing your might for. Right? Verse 25 says, my soul clings to the dust. Give me life according to your what? To your word. Your debar. He said, give me it according to your word. This is the book of Chazon, Revelations. Book of Chazon, he said, Revelations. I think it's, this is the book of Revelations, chapter, I think it's 19. Revelation chapter 19. Let's see if I can find it. Revelation chapter. That's not it. So this is Revelation chapter 19. I think that's it. Prophecy, spirit of prophecy. So this is the Revelation chapter 19, verse, I think it's 19 and 2. Let me find it real quick. This is let's go back to. Let's come back on. Let's go back to ODE Shaloma. We can find it in a second. ODE Shaloma, chapter 10. Going back to ODE Shaloma, chapter 10, verse 3. It says open verse 2, starting at verse 2. And it says, and he has caused to dwell in me his immortal life, and has permitted me to proclaim the fruits of his shalom, his peace, to convert the lives of those who desire to come to him, and to capture in a good captivity for freedom, right? So you look at all these things. Freedom of what? Freedom from your flesh. He said freedom from your flesh, because that's the only reason he's capturing you, right? That's the only reason he's capturing you, right? So this is the book of, keep going down. It says, verse 4 says, and I took courage and became strong and captured the world. He said, I took courage and I captured the world. And it says right here, and it became mine for the kabod, the glory of the Most High, Yahuwah, the Elohim, and the Elohim of my father. He said, and it became mine. Right, so this is the book of, so this is the book of, where are we going at? Yeah. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 19. Revelation, chapter 19, verse 10. Revelation, chapter 19, verse 10. It says Revelation chapter 19 verse 9. Revelation chapter 19 verse 9. And the Malak said to me, write this, Barak are those who are invited to the marriage supper. How you say the marriage? It says supper of the Lamb. How you say the Pesach? They put supper of the Lamb. He said Barak are those who are invited to Pesach. And get what it says. And he said to me, these are the true words of Yahuwah Elohim. Then I fell down at their feet and worshipped him. But he said to me, you must not do that. I am a fellow servant with you and your brothers who hold the testimony of Yahushua. Why? Because you know why? He said the testimony of Yahushua, these are my counselors. He said our testimony, I'm meditating on our testimonies because they are my counselors. And guess what it says? Worship Yahuwah. For the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy, or the ruach of prophecy. He said, I meditate on your testimonies. He said, that's how I overcome. That's how I overcome myself. Right? So the book of Galatians chapter 5, going back to Galatians chapter 5, Galatians chapter 5 in verse 10. Going back to Galatians chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5. Verse 19. He said, this is how you say, how am I going to defeat all this stuff inside of me? This is what's inside of people. Galatians chapter 5. Now the works of the flesh are evident. Sexual morality, that's fornication, adultery, lust, following Asmodeus. Following the demon Asmodeus. That's inside of people. And it says right here, impurity. You get what it says? Sensuality. Sensual words, commit fornication. That's how you say those, seductive speech. Sensuality, idolatry. That's idol worship. That's worshiping wood, stone, paper, pictures of people, worshiping, putting candles by it with a photo of somebody, your pastor, your teacher, put some candles of your dead grandmother. Right? All these are all a part of this idolatry worship. Putting idol worship, urns, blue beings, blue statues, all that's idol worship. Idolatry, sorcery. That's magic, sorcery, witchcraft, necromancy, spirit channeling, spirits from the dead, from the underworld, dark magic, black magic, all this stuff. All that stuff comes from what? Sorcery. Enmity, that's jealousy, envy, that's strife, that's fighting, quarreling, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, that's rivalry going back and forth, like Cain and Abel when they were talking. Rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envying, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. That means things like these, that's etc., etc., etc. And how they put it into sentences, or like the big umbrella. Anything else that looks like it. It may not look like it, but it's just like that. It could be in a cartoon. They put this stuff in cartoon. Same thing. They look innocent. Oh, it's not. Same stuff. And it says what? It says envying, drunkenness, and order. I warn you, as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah. They will not get no peace. They will not have any shalom. They ain't gonna have no tranquility. Ain't gonna happen. He said, you ain't gonna have no peace. He said, why? This is the book of Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu chapter 57. Yeshayahu chapter 57. But the last two verses. Go to verse 20. Actually, verse 19. 57:19. Yeshayahu 57:19. Yeshayahu 57:19. Verse 57:18. He says, I have seen his ways, but I will heal him or her ways, and I will heal them. And I will lead him and restore comfort to his mourners. He said, I'm going to lead him and restore comfort to his mourners, creating the fruits of the lips. He said, what? I came here to proclaim Yahuwah's fruit. He said, creating the fruit of the lips. Shalom. He said, you ain't going to have no peace. He said, I tell you this, and I warned you before, ain't nobody going to do that. Ain't going to have no peace. Ain't going to have no shalom. Ain't going to die in peace. Ain't nowhere in the world. He says, shalom to the far and to the near, says Yahuwah Elohim, and I will heal him. And that's the only way you're going to get healing, is peace. Shalom. You can't even build a house without shalom. Why you think David was a man of war, and why you think his son was shalom? How you say shalom? Behold peace. He said, you're going to build my house. That's the only way you're going to build it. You can't build it with robberies, dissension, fits of anger, sexual morality. He said, ain't nowhere in the world you can build no house. And go what he says, but the wicked are like the tossing sea, for it cannot be quiet. They can't shut up. He said, man, they can't shut up. He's like, man, be quiet. They like the tossing sea, can't be quiet. This is the reason why. Its waters toss up mirror and dirt. That's all it's going to do. If you go to a river, you go to a stream, and it's really rough, it ain't clear. It ain't clear water. The water's not pure. It ain't flowing river of clear water. Like Bruce Lee says, be like water. It ain't clear water. And it says right here, there is no shalom, no peace, said my Elohim for the wicked. So all them things you see in Galatians, how he said you ain't no way you're going to enter the kingdom. Because the kingdom of Yahuwah is Yerushalayim. It means the city of peace, the teachings of peace. That's what Jerusalem is. It's the teachings of peace. He said, ain't no way. How you going to get peace? It's the teachings of peace, right? So this is the book. This is a Joseph and Asenath. We're going to Joseph and Asenath. Joseph and Asenath, Yusuf. Joseph and Asenath. Joseph and Asenath, chapter 17, actually 16. Joseph and Asenath 17, actually, and 4. Yusuf and Asenath 17 and 4. There's a reason why we're going here, right? Joseph and Asenath 17 and 4. It says, and Asenath said to the man, Master, with me are 7 virgins. He said Bathula, I said Alma, ministering to me, fostered with me from my childhood, born with me in one night. And I love them as my sisters. And I call them, and you will, it says, and I will call them, and you will barak them as you have baraked me too. And Yahuwah and the man said, call them. And Asenath called the 7 virgins. Notice he said, you're going to barak them as you baraked me too. He said, how is a woman going to help 7 other women if she ain't get the barak first? He said, man, I got to get the barak first before I tell other people, come barak me. Now I got to get my barak first. Why would I tell them trying to get other people barak and I ain't got my barak? He said, bless me first. Right? So this is the book of Bereshit chapter 1. Bereshit chapter 1, verse 26. Bereshit chapter 1, verse 26. It says, and Yahuwah Elohim said, and then Yahuwah Elohim said, let us make Adam in our own image. He said, Atzah Adam. Damu Salim, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the Shamayim, over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So Elohim created Adam in his own image. In the image of Elohim, he created him, both male and female created him. And go what he did after that. And Yahuwah blessed them. He said, man, barak these 7 verses like you barak me. Bless them like you blessed me. And he blessed them. And he said, and he baraked them, and Elohim said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. He said, multiply. He said, but you got to get a baraka first. He said, you got to bless me. You bless me first. So then you're going to bless them other ones. And get what he said. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the Shamayim, and over living things that move on the earth. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. He said, man, you barak me. And get what he said. You shall have them for food, your akla, and to every beast of the earth, and every bird of the Shamayim, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has breath of life, I have given you every green plant for food. And it was so. And Elohim Yahuwah saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. He's like, it's good. And there was evening and there was morning the 6th day. Right? He said, he baraked me. Right, going back to Joseph and Asenath, Joseph and Asenath, chapter 17, verse 5. It says, I will call them, and you will bless me as you barak. You will bless them as you barak me. You get what he said? And the man said, call them. And Asenath called the 7 virgins and stood them before the man. And the man baraked them and said, may Yahuwah, the Elohim, the Most High, bless you. People saying, why? Why did the sons Asu and Yaakov run to their father to get Barak before he died? People say, why he did that? Because it's Barak. You finna bless me? Please bless me before you die. He said, man, bless them. And he said, Barak you, and you shall be. And after he blessed them, he gave him something. He said, well, I'm gonna give you something after I bless. Like, Yahuwah not gonna Barak you and not give you nothing. I'm gonna bless you, but I ain't gonna give you nothing. And he says right here, and you shall be 7 pillars in the city of refuge. He said, may Yahuwah the Most High bless you, and you shall be 7 pillars in the city of refuge. And all the fellow inhabitants of the chosen of that city will rest upon you forever. He said, they're going to rest upon you forever. Right, so he said they're going to rest upon you. Right, so this is the book of, I think this is Proverbs chapter 9. Mostly Proverbs chapter 9. Proverbs chapter 9. Verse 1. It says right here, verse 9 says, wisdom has built her house. So just like he say, oh, come on. It's immortality. It's joint you immortal. He said, wisdom has built her house. She has hewn 7 pillars. Huh? Man, Yahuwah barak me. He baraked me. He gave me, how you say he baraked? He said, Yahuwah blessed you yet? He said, he baraked me. He has hewn out 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her beasts. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She made all her sacrifices that she get ready to do. Because we know sacrificing and offerings, Yahuwah didn't want. He never did. But she was getting all this stuff ready for what? She has sent, get what it says, she has sent her young women to call, huh? She has what? She has sent her young women to call from the highest places in the town. He said, man, come barak me like you, barak these 7 virgins like you barak me. And get what happened? Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks sense, she says, come, eat my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed. Get what happens after that? Leave your simple ways and live and walk in the way of insight. Because he said, oh, how long are you going to be simple, oh simple-minded? You love simplicity? He said, why he do hood? Tukah what? Because I want to pour my ruach on you. And get what he said. live and walk in the way of insight. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abused. That's what's going to happen. He said, why would you correct a scoffer? Because he said 2 cars are the way of life. The commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light. The commandment is the near, which is the lamp, the burning light that to glisten, and the Torah is the light that keeps the lamp lit. And get what it says. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abused, and he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. Because you know we just read in Yeshayahu 57, where wicked people have what? They kick up dirt and mirror. And he said they can't shut up. They can't be quiet. He said, why can't be quiet? Why can't you be quiet? He said, why? Because they can't be quiet. Even animals know this. Animals don't even speak. They just look at you. And then what do animals do? They keep walking. But in their mind, they're thinking. And get what it says. And get what it says. Do not reprove a scoffer or he will hate you. He's like, they will hate you. He said, I handed out 7 pillars in the city of refuge. He said, or they will hate you. Reprove a wise man, because you know wisdom is immortality, and he will love you. Wise man or woman, they say they will love you, ahab you. He said, barak me like you barak them like you barak me. Guess what the first 9 said? Give instruction to a wise man or woman, and he will be still wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. Because you know what happens when what are you increasing your learning for? Enhancing your koach, your might, for your battle with your flesh, yourself. This war, you say many counselors, but the testimony of Yahushua is the ruach of prophecy, Nabu. They said the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. And the knowledge of the Kudash one is the insight. For by me, your days will be multiplied and your years will be added to your life. Get what it says, verse 12. This is where we're going to stop at. It says, if you are wise for yourself. Because this is your life we're talking about here. He said, this is your life we're talking about here. Yourself. Because you got that war, if you're saying wise, and you won't get envy and conceited, and you won't start provoking and envying people. He said, this is you wise for yourself. It says, if you scoff, you alone will bear it. He's like, who's going to bear that? He said, people want you to bear that in the world. Or people on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, they want you to bear their scoffing. He's like, man, I'm not bearing your scoffing. That's between you and yourself and those other people you scoffing at. That ain't got nothing to do with me. You bear it yourself. And get what it says. I'm sorry. Go to verse 13 anyway. It says, the woman folly is loud. She is seductive and knows nothing. He said, man, what do you mean the folly is loud? All right, so this is the book of, he's like, because this is the book of, keep that in mind. But this right here, this is the book of Proverbs, actually going to book of, this is the book of Yirmiyahu chapter 11 and verse 1. Yirmiyahu chapter 11, Jeremiah chapter 11 verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 11 and verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 11 verse 1. It says, the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah. Hear the words of this covenant and speak to the men of Yehuda and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Because it's supposed to be the city of peace. The teachings of peace are supposed to come from here. Let's see what's going on in the teachings of peace in Jerusalem. It says, you shall say to them, thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, cursed be the man who does not hear the words of this covenant that I command your fathers when I brought them out of the land of Mizraim. What did he command them? You know what he commanded them when they came out of Mizraim? People read it and they recite it some people every single Shabbat. You get what it says? And it says, listen to the voice, you get what it says? The fathers, cursed be the man who does not hear the words of this covenant that I command you, your fathers, when I brought them out of the land of Mizraim from the iron furnace, saying, listen to my voice. Listen to my voice and do all that I command you. So first you got to listen. And then he said, do it. So shall you be my people and I will be your Elohim. You're going to be my children. that I may confirm the oath that I swore to your fathers, and to give them a land flowing with milk and honey. Because he said, Barak me as you barak them. Barak me as you barak them. Barak them too. You barak me, barak them too. That's when the Asenath said, right? And get what it said. You may confirm the oath that I swore to your fathers, to give them a land flowing with milk and honey as this day. Then I answered, so be it, Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to me, proclaim all these words of the city of Yehuda and the streets of Jerusalem. Hear the words of the covenant and do them. For I solemnly warn you. For I solemnly warned your fathers when I brought them out of the land of Mizraim, warning them persistently. And even as Galatia, we just read in Galatia, he said, I warn you and I tell you again, these people ain't going to be in the kingdom. They never going to find peace. They never going to do it. The same thing you read in Galatia, the same thing the children of Yasharal Yehuda were doing when they came out of Mizraim. Same stuff. And get what it says. Even this day saying, obey my voice, yet they did not obey or incline their ear. But everyone walked in their stubbornness of the evil heart. They just stubborn. They said they own evil heart. He said, remember we talked about if you be wise, you be wise for yourself. He said, it's your life. Therefore I brought upon them all the words of this covenant which I commanded them to do, but they did not. He said they didn't even do it. He said they didn't even do it. Skipping over. Here we go. Skipping over to verse 14. Actually, we're going to skip over to, where we want to go? Yeah, verse 14. Verse 15. Verse 15 of that same book, 11 and 15. What right has my beloved in my house when she has done many vile deeds? Can even sacrificial flesh avert your doom? He's like, you can kill all the animals you want. It still ain't gonna avert your doom. This is ESV. Can you then exalt? Yahuwah once called you a green olive tree. He said, man, I call you a green olive tree. Man, you were like an olive tree. What was next to the 7 bowls and the 7 pipes? 2 olive trees. He said, man, y'all are like olive trees. Because you know olive trees obey. Just like in the beginning on the 3rd day. Every tree bearing seed, fruit after its kind, they all obeyed. The trees obeyed Yahuwah, and they bore olives. He said, y'all like an olive tree. And guess what happened? Beautiful with good fruit. Just like Zachariah said, man, you see, what's these 2 olive trees? He said, man, these are the 2 anointed ones. And he said, but with the roar of a great tempest, he will set fire to it. He said, I'm going to burn these things out because they ain't bearing no fruit. Just like Yahuwah just said. He said, fire kindled in my anger. In the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32. He said, I wound, I kill, I make alive. He said, a fire is kindled in my anger, and it burns to the lowest shield. Even Yahuwah said, oh, I wish it was already kindled. I wish it was already burning. And get what it says. Beautiful with his good fruit, but with a roar and a great tempest, he will set fire to it. And its branches will be consumed. The Yahuwah of hosts, who planted you, has decreed disaster for you because of the evil of the house of Yasharal. That's exactly what you read in Galatia. That's why they ain't getting in. People saying why they're not getting in the kingdom. That's exactly why. They got the works of the flesh. And get what it says. Because of the evil of the house of Yasharal and the house of Yehuda. Those 2 olive trees. Next to the 7 bowls and the 7 pipes. With the near. How you say the near. And the manure. He's like, man, these people ain't producing no olives that I could bear the olive oil that this thing may flow. Just like a river. And guess what it says? Because of the evil of the house of Yasharal and Yehuda, provoking me to anger by making offerings to Baal. He making offerings to Baal and Dagon and Asher and Monoliths. Making offerings to Asmodeus. Making offerings to Shemjaza, Azazel, Azbaal, making offerings to idols, to gods, to statues, to pyramids, to pyramids. You get what it says? Provoking me to anger for offering to Baal. Yahuwah made it known to me, and I knew. Then you showed me their deeds. But I was like a what? Like a gentle lamb led to the slaughter. love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness. He said, I was a new one. I was just operating the fruits of the Ruach. He's like, I like a gentle lamb, led to the slaughter. And get what he said? I did not know that it was against me. They devised schemes saying, let us destroy the tree with its fruit. He's like, man, look, because they ain't bearing no fruit, so you know what? Let me just destroy your tree. Let us cut him off from the land of the living. That's what they want. He said, let's get rid of him. It says that his name will be remembered no more. He said, we don't want nobody to remember you anymore. All right, so this is the book of Numbers chapter 12. Numbers chapter 12. Numbers chapter 12. Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. Numbers chapter 12, verse 1. And it says right here, it says, and Miriam and Aharon spoke against Mashah because of the Cushite woman whom he had married. For he had married a Cushite woman. He's like, he did what? And they said, has Yahuwah indeed spoken only through you, Mashah? He's like, man, he the only person he spoke through. He's like, what are you talking about? Has he not spoken also through us? And Yahuwah heard it. He's like, Yahuwah's like, hold up. What y'all fighting for? This is not the fruits of the Ruach. This ain't the fruits. This is the fruits of the flesh. This is called strife. This is called quarreling. He's like, this ain't got nothing to do with no fruits of no Ruach. Yahuwah's like, I heard it. So people think, you think Yahuwah don't hear? People think Yahuwah don't hear the people today? He's like, yeah, Yahuwah don't hear me. I said, yeah, you do. Yahuwah hears everything you're saying. Yahuwah hears everything you're saying. So this is the book of, I think this is the book of Yasher, chapter 68. 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 Book of Yasher, chapter 68, verse 1. Book of Yasher, chapter 68, verse 1. And it was at that time that the Ruach of Elohim was upon Miriam, the daughter of Amram, the sister of Aaron. Well, yeah, the Ruach came and said, has Yahuwah not only spoken through you, Mashah? And it says Aaron, and she went forth and prophesied about the house. I mean, she started, the Ruach was on her. And get what happened? Saying, behold, a son will be born into us from my father and mother this time, and he will save Yasharal from the hands of Mizraim. He said, he gonna save us. Why do you think Yahushua said? He said, man, Yahushua is like, I'm Yahuwah who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage. He said, you see how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself? He said, why Yahushua was on totality, with his arms outstretched wide? And they were sitting there mocking him. Now Yahuwah only spoken through you, Yahushua Mashiach? And get what it says right here. And it says right here, it says, behold, and get what it says. And when Amram heard the words of his daughter, he went and took his wife back to his house, after he had driven her away at the time when Pharaoh ordered every male child of the house of your cold to be thrown into the water. Man, you gotta be, get what? You gotta think about that. How you gonna have a wife that you married to, that she ain't commit no adultery, and you put her away because of a decree of a king of the earth? Just like you just said, he put away his wife, and it's not for adultery. He said you make her commit adultery. You think about that. The position that he in, he following Pharaoh's commandments. But he said, hey, you only spoken through you? All right, so going back to Numbers. Going back to Numbers, chapter 12, verse 1. And Miriam spoke against Mashah because of the Cushite woman whom he had married, for he had married a Cushite woman. And they said, has Yahuwah indeed only spoken through Mashah? Has he not spoken through us also? And Yahuwah heard it. Now the man Mashah was very meek, more than all people who were on the face of the earth. And suddenly Yahuwah said to Mashah and Aaron and Miriam, "Come out, you three, to the tent meeting." And the three of them came out, and Yahuwah came down in a pillar of a cloud and stood at the entrance and called Aaron and Miriam, and both came forward. And they said, "Hear my words. If there be a Nabi among you, I will make myself known to him in a vision, and I will speak with him in a dream. Not so with my servant Mashah. He is faithful in all my house." He said, he operated in amunah, faithfulness, the fruits of the Ruach. Because if you be wise, you be wise for yourself. And get what he said? He said, he is faithful in all my house. With him, I will speak mouth to mouth. He said, I want to see who to speak mouth to mouth. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. That's how you're going to get Yahuwah to speak with you mouth to mouth. And get what it says. This is clearly and not in riddles. And he beholds the form of Yahuwah. He said he beholds the form of Yahuwah. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Mashah, who walking in the fruits of the Ruach? And get what he says. And the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against them, and he departed. He was like, I'm done. He said, why would he do that? So this is the Aramaic Targums. This is the Aramaic Palestinian Targums. The Aramaic Palestinian Targums. So it's the Aramaic Palestinian Targums. The Aramaic Palestinian Targums. Yeah, so this is the Aramaic Palestinian Targums, page 292. Yeah, section 36, page 292. So this is, yeah, it says, and Miriam and Aaron, this is page 293, and Miriam and Aaron spake against Mashah words that were not becoming with respect to the Cushite whom the Cushite had caused Mashah to take when he had fled from Pharaoh, but whom he had sent away because they had given him the queen of Cush, and he sent her away. And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Mashah about the Cushite woman whom he had taken. But observe, the Cushite woman was not Zipporah, the wife of Mashah, but certain of the Cushite. It says, of the flesh, of a flesh different from every creature. Whereas Zipporah, the wife of Mashah, was of a comely form and beautiful countenance, and more abundant in good works than all the women of her age. And they said, hath Yahuwah only spoken to Mashah, that he should be separated from married life? He's like, who is that? Who are you supposed to be? And get what it says. Hath he not spoken with us also? This is what, this, and it was heard before Yahuwah, but the man Mashah was more bowed down in mind. So he was humble in mind. Than all the children of men upon the face of the earth, neither cared he for their words. He's like, I ain't even thinking about what y'all. You know why he wasn't caring for their words? We just talked about it in the book of Psalms. He said, I meditate on your statutes. I meditate on your testimonies. Because they are my counselors. And get what it said right here. And Yahuwah said to Mashah and Aaron and Miriam, come forth, you three, to the tabernacle. And those three went forth, and the kabod of Yahuwah were revealed in the cloud of kabod. And he stood at the door for the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and those who came forth. And he said, hear now my words while I speak. Have any of the Nabi'im who have arisen from the days of old spoken with Mashah as I have been, as Mashah has been? To those Nabi'im the word of Yahuwah have been revealed in apparitions, speaking with them in a dream. Not so in the way of Mashah, my servant, in all the house of Yasharal, my people, he is faithful. Not so in my, and get what, and skipping over, he said, not so. Right, so we're skipping over. Skipping over this page 294. 294, and it says, yeah, page 294. It says, but in vision and not with mystery revealed I myself to him at the bush, and he behold the likeness of my Shekinah. And why have you not feared to speak such words of my servant Mashah? And the Kabbalah of Yahuwah, and the Kabbalah of Yahuwah's Shekinah ascended and went, and the glorious cloud of Yahuwah's Shekinah went up above the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam was seized with leprosy. We mean her skin turned white, like, how you say, shaleg, like snow. Her skin turned white. And she was seized with leprosy in the tent. You could notice it. And as the dead, for with her, it says, for with her, as with the infant, which having well fulfilled the time of the womb, just like when you first come out, and perishes at birth. And guess what it said right here? Miriam was with us in the land of Mizraim, seeing us in our captivity, our dispersion, and our servitude. But now, when the time hath come for our going forth to possess the land of Yasharal, behold, she is kept back from us. I entreat ye, my masters, to pray for her, that her righteousness may not come to naught among the people. And guess what happened? It says that we have sinned. Let not Miriam, our sister, be a leper, polluted in the tent as one dead, for it is with her as with the infant who hath passed 9 months in its mother's womb. It's just like a baby, just like one being born again. He said, being born again. He said, Yahuwah's punishment is like one being born again. Make her skin just as white as snow, just like you being born from your mother's womb when you first come out. And guess what happened after that? So was Miriam and our sister carried away with us into the desert. Actually, let's go back. And it says, polluted in a tent as one dead, for it was with her as with the infants who had passed 9 months in its mother's womb, in the water and in the heat, without injury. But which after all perishes at birth. So was Miriam our sister, carried away with us into the desert, and with us in our trouble. But now the time hath come that we may enter into the land of Yasharal. Why should she be kept from us? Pray now for the dead body, that it may live, and that her righteousness may not fail. And Mashah did pray and seek mercy before Yahuwah, saying, I pray through the compassion and of the merciful Elohim, Eluah, who have power over life and all flesh, heal her, I beseech thee. He says, heal her, I beseech thee. O Eluah, who healeth all flesh, heal her. And guess what happens after that? And Yahuwah said to Mashah, if her father had corrected her, because why her father had to correct her? Because had her father told her, he said, don't you ever do that again. To jump in a man's face like that. And you accuse him. Even if the Ruach came upon you. He said, your father corrected you. If her father had corrected her, would she not have been disgraced and secluded 7 days? But today, when I correct her, much more right is it that she should be dishonored 14 days. He said, I give you double. Because he said, you the daughter of a priest. I'm wrong. He said, you the daughter of a priest. He said, you know that. Because her father was a priest of Louis. And get what it said right here. And get what it says. He said, I'll do it 14 days. He says, yet shall it suffice to seclude her 7 days without the camp. And for thy righteousness will I make the cloud of my kabod and the tabernacle of the ark of all Yasharal tarry until the time when she is healed and readmitted. So this is the book of Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1. It says, my son and daughter, do not forget my teaching, and do not let your heart keep my commandments. Right, because this is the whole point. You think Amram didn't tell his family that? It says, for length of days and long life and peace will be added to you. He said, you ain't going to have no peace. He said, it'll be added to you. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablets of your heart. So you will find good favor and good success in the sight of the Elohim and man. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your path. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahuwah and turn away from evil. It'll be healing to your flesh. Your sure. He said, turn away from evil, it'll be healing to your flesh. It'll turn your leprosy. It says, and what? Refreshment to your bones. So this is the book of, this is the, so this is the book of, I think it's Ruth. The book of Ruth. The book of Ruth, chapter 3, verse 7. Book of Ruth, chapter 3, verse 5. Actually, 3, verse 4. Ruth, chapter 3, verse 3. It says, wash therefore and anoint yourself, and put on your cloak, and go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he had finished eating and drinking. But when he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down. He said, be at his feet. He said, be at his feet. He said, and lie down at his feet. And he will tell you what to do. He said, lie down at his feet, and he will tell you what to do. He's talking to the woman. And get what it says. And she replied, all that you say I will do. So she went down to the threshing floor, and did just as the mother-in-law had commanded her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of the grain. Then she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. And did what? And lay down. He says, and at midnight the man was startled and turned over, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. He said, what? She lay at his feet, and he said, who are you? She answered, I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant. For you are a redeemer. So this is the book of Joseph and Asenath. Joseph and Asenath. Joseph and Asenath. This is Joseph and Asenath. Joseph and Asenath chapter 12. Joseph and Asenath chapter 12. Chapter 13, actually. Joseph and Asenath chapter 13. Joseph and Asenath chapter 13, verse 1. It says, be mindful, master, of my humiliation, and have mercy upon me. Look at my orphanage, and have compassion on the afflicted. For behold, I fled from everything and took refuge in you. Master, the only friend of men. Behold, I left behind all good things of the earth and took refuge in you. Master, and in sackcloth and ashes naked as an orphan and left alone. Behold, I put off my linen robe, royal robe, interwoven with violet and gold, and dressed in black mourning tunic. Behold, I loosened my golden girdle and threw it off of me, a girded rope and sackcloth around myself. Behold, my tiara and my diadem I threw off my head, and I sprinkled ashes upon it. Behold, the floor of my chamber, paved with colored and purple stones, which once used to be bed sprinkled of my perfumes and white, of bright linen cloth, and is now sprinkled with tears, and was profaned and having powdered with ashes. Behold, master, from my tears and ashes much mud hath been formed in my chamber, as a broad street. Behold, master, my royal dinner and cereals I have gave to strange dogs. And behold, 7 days and 7 nights I was fasting and ate no bread and drank no water. And my mouth has become dry as a drum, and my tongue as a horn. You get what it says? And my lips as potsherd, and my face has fallen, and my eyes are burning in shame. In many years, for my many tears, and my entire strength has left me. And now all the gods whom I once used to worship in ignorance, I have now recognized that they were dumb deeds of idols, and I have caused them to be trampled under foot of men. Right, so you see Asenah repenting, but you see, he said, why would Ruth? He said, why would Ruth do that? But then here we go. This is the book of 1 Samuel. This is 1 Samuel chapter 25 and verse 23. 1 Samuel 25, 23. And when Abigail saw Daud, she hurried and got down from her donkey and fell down before David at her face and bowed to the ground. She what? She fell at his feet. She did what? She fell at his feet and said, on me alone, my master, be the guilt. Because if you be wise, you be wise for yourself. But if you wicked, he said, if you are scoffed, you scoff, and you will bear your own stuff, bear your own sin. But you see her. Because you know Yahushua said, the reproach of those who reproach you, Yahuwah, it fell on me. And guess what happens? Let not my master regard this worthless fellow, Nabal, for his name is so he is, Nabal. His name, and folly is it with him. She fell down at his feet. Right, so this is the book of of 2 Kings, Bith Malachim, 2 Kings 4:35. And it says, then he got up again and walked once back and forth in his house and went. This is 2 Kings 4:35. Then he got up again and walked once back and forth in the house and went up and stretched himself upon it. The child sneezed 7 times. It sneezed 7 times. 7 times. And the child opened his eyes. He said the child opened his eyes at the 7 times of sneezing. Sneezing 7 times. And guess what happens? The child sneezed 7 times. The child opened his eyes. Then he summoned Gehazi and said, call the Shunammite. So he called her, and when she came to him, he said, pick up your son. He said, guess what 37 says? She came and fell at his feet, bowing to the ground, and then she picked up her son and went out. And then she even fell at his feet. Right, so this is the book of this is the book of Luke, Uriah. It says Uriah, Luke, chapter 7, verse 36. It says, and one of the Pharisees asked him to eat with him. And he went into the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table. And behold, a woman of the city who was in a sinner. She was a what? A sinner. When Eliashib went into the woman's house, he said, "You come to recall my sin before?" He said, why you came in my house and killed my son? And get what it says. And the Pharisees reclined at the table, and behold, a woman of the city who was a sinner. When she had learned he was reclining at the table at the Pharisee's house, she brought an alabaster ointment, and standing behind him at his feet. He's like, at his feet? Yeah, at his feet. And it says right here, weeping, and she began to wet her feet with her tears, and wiped them with her hair and her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisees had invited him and saw this, he said to himself, if this man were a Nabi, he would have known who and what sort of woman this is who is touching him, for she is a sinner. And Yahushua answered and said to him, Simon, I have something to say to you. And he answered, say it, teacher. A certain moneylender had 2 debtors. One owed 500 denarii and the other 50. When they could not pay, he canceled the debt of both. Now which of them will love him more? Simon answered, the one, I suppose, from whom you canceled the larger debt. And he said to him, you have judged rightly. Then turning it toward the woman, he said to Simon, he said, do you see this woman? I entered your house. You gave me no water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You know, that's not what did. And get what it says. She did with her hair. It says, because you got long hair. You know, we ain't supposed to have bald. He said, why would you want to cut your hair bald? He said, with her hair. You got to have long hair to do that. Locks. It says, you gave me no kiss, but from the time I came in, she has not ceased to kiss my feet. You did not anoint my head with oil, but she has anointed my feet with ointment. Therefore I tell you, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. She will operate in the fruits of the Ruach. She loved much. That's the number one thing. Ahal. It says she loved much. But he, get what it says, for she loved much. But he who is forgiven little, loves little. And he said to her, your sins are forgiven. Then those who were at the table with him began to saying among themselves, who is this who even forgives sins? And he said to the woman, your Amunah has saved you. Fruits of the Ruach. Amunah, faithfulness. He said, your Amunah has saved you. Your faith, your belief. Go in peace, huh? Because he said, ain't no peace to the wicked. Ain't no shalom to the wicked. I tell you, and I tell you again, that those who do such things will not be in the kingdom. Malkuth. They will never have peace. In Galatia. He said they won't have any peace. Right, so this is the book of Luke, or 10:38. Luke, or 10:38. Now as they went on their way, Yahushua entered a village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Maureen, who sat at Yahuwah's feet. She sat at his feet and listened to his teaching. She sat at his feet and listened to his teaching. And guess what happened? But Martha was distracted with much serving. And she went up to him and said, Master, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? To make me do all this by myself? In my house? Because this is my house. You know how you say? This is my house. And amazingly, that's her house, but she still called him master. In her own house. And get what it says. Tell her then to help me. But but the master answered her. Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. But one thing is necessary. Marim has chosen, because many are called and few will choose. She has chosen that good portion, which will not be taken away from her. Because man shall not live by bread alone, and food, but every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahuwah. Because that's the portion of food that she desired more than her necessary food, as Job wrote. He said he was at his feet. He said, why would he be at his feet? Right, so this is the book of Bereshit, chapter 37. I think it's Bereshit, Genesis. Bereshit, chapter 37. Bereshit, chapter 37, verse 9. And it says, then he dreamed another dream and told it to his brothers and said, behold, I dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the Shamash, the Yarach, and the 11 stars were bowing down to me at my feet. They at my feet. They bowing down to me. But when he told it to his father and his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? He said, what are you talking about? What is it? Like, Mom, what is this bread you talking about? What is this? He's still asking that. And he says, what? Shall I, your mother? Shall I, your father, that's the son, your mother, the Yarach, and your brothers indeed bow ourselves to the ground before you? And his brothers were jealous of him. Because you know what happens when you get jealous and envy? He said, I tell you, and now I tell you before, that those who do such things will not be in the kingdom. Will not be in the Malkut. They were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in his mind. How you say? He kept it in his mind. Right, so this is the book of Bereshit, chapter 4. Skipping through this. Bereshit, chapter 4. Actually, Bereshit, chapter 1. Yeah, Bereshit, chapter 1, verse 1:14. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the expanse of the Shamaim, and to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the expanse of the Shamaim to give light upon the earth. He said, how are you going to do that? He said, let them be for the expanse to be light or on the earth, and it was so. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, that's the Shamash, the sun, and the lesser light to rule the night, that's the Yarach, that's the moon, and the stars. And Elohim set them in the expanse of the Shamaim to give light on the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. It was good. And there was evening and there was morning the fourth day. All right, this is the book of Chazon. It's the book of Revelations. It's the book of Revelations. Okay, they say Hazun. Book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 1. And it says right here, and a great sign appeared in Shamaim, a woman clothed with the sun. Right, we talked about the woman clothed with the sun. When Yusuf went into the house with his mother and father, he had 12 rays of light on his crown. and it shone inside of the house. When Yahushua was on the mountain, he prayed and he came down with the disciples. He came down with his 12, and they started touching people and they healing people. He said, what? They were healing people. They touched people. The sun touched people. He said, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. 12 rays of light. There's 12 tribes. Shall I, your mother and your brother, bow down and worship you? But he says, I saw a great sign of Shamayim, a woman clothed with the shamash. With what? With the moon under her feet. Under her feet. So this sun that they're talking about, that has 12 rays of light, the 12 tribes, it says that a moon was under her feet. We ain't talking about no woman with woman. This is a male with a moon at his feet. That's why Ruth, when she came to the house, she was at Boaz's feet. That's why when David and Abigail came to David, she bowed at his feet. That's why when the woman wanted to be healed from Yahushua, she bowed at his feet. Martha was sitting at his feet. The moon was at his feet. It says right here, and she was pregnant and was carrying out the birth pains and agony to give birth. Right, so this is the book of Yirmiyahu chapter 30. Yirmiyahu chapter 30, Jeremiah chapter 30, Jeremiah chapter 30, Yirmiyahu chapter 30, verse 1. And then the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah. Thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim Yashua, write in a book all the words that I have spoken to you. For behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I will restore the fortunes of my people, of Yashua and Yehuda, even them 2 olive trees that are supposed to bear fruit. Because he prepared a tent for the sun. He prepared your body for the sun. That's the only person you're supposed to open up to. The sun. And get what it says. Thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim Yashua, write it in a book, all the words that I have spoken to you. For behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I will restore the fortunes of my people, Yashua and Yehuda, says Yahuwah, and I will bring them back to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall take possession of it. These are the words of Yahuwah spoke concerning Yashua and Yehuda. Thus says Yahuwah, we have heard a cry of panic and terror and no peace. And now and see, can a man bear a child? Can a man what? He saw a woman. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. I saw them 12 tribes clothed with the sun. He said 12 rays of light shone in the house. And get what it says. Okay, he said, can a what? He says, these are the words that spoke to Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah. And we have heard a cry of panic and terror and no shalom. Ask now and see, can a man bear a child? Why then do I see every man with his hand on his stomach like a woman in labor? I saw a woman clothed with the sun. And matter of fact, I saw a woman at his feet. I saw the sun with the woman at his feet. And for some reason, this woman was pregnant. And it says, and now see, can a man bear a child? Why then do I see every man with his hand on his stomach like a woman in labor? Why has every face turned pale? Is that what happened? He said, the point of death. Alas, the day is so great. There is none like it. It is the distress of your cold. Yet he shall be saved out of it, out of this birth. He said, what? He said, out of this birth that's getting ready to happen. He said, once they give birth to this child, he said, they're going to be saved out of the birth of this child. Right, so this is the book of right, so this is the book of back to Joseph and Asenath. Joseph and Asenath. at Joseph, Asenath chapter 6 and verse 1. It says, and Asenath saw Yusuf on his chariot and was strongly cut to the heart. She was cut to the heart, and her soul was crushed, and her knees were paralyzed, and her entire body trembled. And she was filled with great fear. And she sighed, and when you feel with great fear, what do? You hit the ground, and you bow at his feet. And it says, and sighed, and said in her heart, what shall I do now? Wretched that I am, do I speak, saying that Yusuf is coming, the shepherd's son of the land of Canaan? And now, behold, the son from Shamaim has come to us on its chariot. I saw a woman clothed with sun, and I saw the moon at his feet. And get what happens? And he entered our house today and shines in like a light upon the earth. And get what it says? And I, foolish and daring, have despised him and spoken wicked words about him. He said, you scoffed. He said, you scoffed at him. And get what happens? He said, you alone gonna bear it. And get what he says? And did not know that Yusuf is a son of Elohim. And he the son of Yahuwah. For who among men on earth will generate such beauty? And what womb of a woman will give birth to such light? What womb of a woman will give birth to such light? And I saw a woman clothed with the sun. As a matter of fact, she was pregnant. And I saw the moon at his feet. And you see what the moon doing right now? The moon recounting what great light this person is. And guess what happens? And what womb of a woman is giving birth to such light? What a wretched and foolish girl that I am. Because I have spoken wicked words about him to my father. And now, where shall I go and hide from his face? Because I have spoken wicked things about him. Where shall I flee and hide? Because every hiding place he sees, and nothing hidden escapes him. Because of the great light that's in what? That's inside of him. It's how has every man got his hand on his stomach? Like a woman labor. Can a man have a child? And now be gracious to me, Master Elohim Yahuwah of Joseph, because I have spoken wicked words against him in ignorance. And he was saying, am I ignorant? He said, he said, and now let my father give to me Yusuf for a maidservant and a slave. He said, and a slave, and I will serve him forever. He said, I will serve him. What did you say? She said, I'm your servant. At his feet. And Yusuf entered the house of Betrayus and sat upon the throne. He did what? And they washed his feet. So if you're going to wash somebody's feet, what did the woman do when he came to Yahushua? They washed his feet. Where did he do that at his feet? I saw a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon was at his feet. And get what happens? And set a table before him by itself, because Yusuf never ate with the Egyptians, for this was an abomination to him. And looking up with his eyes, Yusuf saw Asenath leaning toward the window, and Yusuf said to Betrayus and his whole family, saying, who is the woman who is standing in the upper floor of the windows? Let her leave this house. Because Yusuf was afraid, saying, this one must not molest me too. For all the wives and the daughters of noblemen and satraps of the whole land of Mizraim used to molest him, wanting to sleep with him. He said, that's all they want to do. He said, they want to sleep with him. And all the wives and the daughters of the Egyptians, when they saw Yusuf, suffered badly because of his beauty. Which means, he say suffer. What do you mean suffer? Within themselves. In their inner man, they couldn't take it. He said they suffered day and night. He said they suffered. Right? So going to chapter 5, Joseph and Asenath chapter 5, verse 4. Joseph asked in chapter 5, verse 4. It says, and the whole family went out to meet Yusuf at the gates of the court, looking east. He says, looking east were open, and Yusuf entered, standing on Pharaoh's second chariot, and four horses, white as snow, and with a golden bridles, were harnessed to it. And the entire chariot was what? Was manufactured of pure gold. And Yusuf was dressed in an exquisite white tunic, and the robe which he had thrown around him was purple, made of linen interwoven with gold, and golden crown was upon his head, and around the crown were 12 chosen stones. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. And on the top of the 12 stones were 12 golden rays, just like the sun. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. And a royal staff was in his left hand and in his right hand. Aren't you know those two olive trees? Y'all used to be two good olive trees. You're beautiful olive trees, producing olives for my 7 bowls and my 7 pipes. That the near can, he said, the lampstand, the manure, the near can continually burn. You get what it says? It says, and he held out, and guess what he said? And he held outstretched an olive branch. He had a what? Man, y'all were good olive trees. 10 virgins, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. Because you know, that's what I'm saying. She found out she was foolish. She was repentant. She said, I spoke stupid words. I said a lot of stuff. I didn't know he was the son of Yahuwah, a son of Elohim. I didn't know he was a God. And get what it says? And there was plenty of fruit on it. Because you know why? Because it's a good olive tree. Because the olive tree produces fruit. For what? That the lamp can continually burn. That the 12 rays of light can continually burn. That the 12 rays of light can continually burn. Those 12 nears, they can continually burn. And amazing, when you have 12 nears, what happens when you have 12 light? When you add 12 and 1, it's 13. But it says right here, and it says, in the fruits was great wealth of what? Of oil. Great wealth of oil. And that oil was not some raggedy oil. It wasn't nasty oil. It wasn't, how you say, evil oil. It says right here, and Yusuf entered the court, and the gates of the court were closed, and every man and woman strange remained outside the court, because the guards of the gates drew tight. Right, so all that, right? So we're almost finished. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 32, verse 12. Yekazal, Ezekiel, actually, go to, going to Yeshayahu, going to Yeshayahu, chapter 11, verse 15. And Yahuwah will utterly destroy the tongue of the sea of Mizraim, and will wave his hand over the river. How you say? Wave his hand over the river. And guess what happens? Because you know what was in the man's hand? He said, man, I saw 7 pillars in the city refuge. And he said, he pulled out his right hand, as Asanoff said. He said, I was afraid. And we know Yahushua said in the book of Revelation, he said that he had 7 pillars in the city of refuge. He said, he who holds the 7 stars in his right hand. I hold the whole kingdom in my right hand. 7 stars, right? And it says right here, and will wave his hand over the river with a scorching breath. And get what happens? And strike it into 7 channels. How you say it? 7 channels. And he will lead his people across in sandals. He said, Barak is he who comes to the wedding feast. To the supper of the Lamb, Pesach. For the testimony of Yahushua is the Ruach of prophecy. He said, it struck it in 7 channels. I'll make you 7 pillars in the city of refuge. Right, this is Ezekiel chapter 32, Yakaziel chapter 32, verse 12. Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 12. Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 12. Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 12. It says, and I will cause the multitude to fall by the sword of the mighty ones, all of them most ruthless of nations. And they shall bring to ruin the pride of Mizraim, and all its multitudes shall perish. And I will destroy all its beasts from besides many waters. And no foot of man shall trouble them any more, nor shall the hoofs of beasts trouble them. Then I will make their waters clear. I will do what? I will make their waters clear and cause their rivers to run like oil. Declares Yahuwah Elohim. When I make the land of Mizraim desolate, when the land is desolate and all that it fills, because he said, I'm going to strike it. I'm going to strike it with my hand. I'm going to make it into 7 channels. And guess what it says? He said right here, he said they're going to make it flow. He said, I'm going to make it all the water clear. And they're going to run just like oil in those 7 channels. In those 7 channels, he said, I'm going to do that. In those 7 rivers. And what's that oil in the rivers for? Right, so this is the book of, it's a book, he said, what is that river, what is that for? He said, what is that for? So this is the book of, he said, I'm going to make it into, this book of Zechariah, it's Zechariah chapter 4, verse 1. And the Zechariah 4, verse 1. And the Malachim who talked with me came again and woke me like a man who was awakened out of his sleep. And he said to me, what do you see? And I said, I see, and behold, a menorah, a lampstand, all of gold, with a bowl on the top of it, and 7 nears on it, and 7 lips on each of the lamps that on the top of it. He said 7 pipes. And there are 2 olive trees by it. He said, what happened? Yusuf came in the house, he had 12 razor light, 12 stones, he had olive branches, and they were producing fruit. Matter of fact, he said, man, I'm gonna strike this thing into 7 channels, and it's gonna be flowing. The water gonna be clear when it comes out of Mizraim, and it's gonna be flowing just like oil, that the lamp can continually burn. And these trees are gonna produce fruit, and they're gonna be clothed like the sun. And when they enter the house, everybody gonna be at his feet. The moon gonna be at his feet. He said, why the moon gotta be at the sun's feet? Because that's the way Yahuwah made it on the 4th day of creation. And it says right here, and there were 2 olive trees by it, one on the right and one on the left. And he said, Yahuwah had them 2 sticks. He had 2 of them in his hand. And go what it says. And I said to the Malach who talked with me, what are these, my master? Then the Malach who talked with me answered and said to me, do you not know what these are? I said, no, my master. Then he said to me, this is the word of Yahuwah by Zerubbabel, not by might, nor by power, but by my ruach. For the testimony of Yahushua is the ruach who prophesied. And it says right here, it says, Yahuwah of hosts, who are you, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel? You shall become a plain, and he shall bring forth the top stone amid the shouts of Khan. He said, I'm going to bring forth the top stone. And it says, then the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of the house, and his hands shall also complete it. And he says, then you will know that Yahuwah of hosts has sent me to you. Right, so this is the book of, he said, then you're going to know this. Right, so this is the, this is the book of, and it says right here, so this is the book of 1 Samuel, Ahal Shamuel, 1 Samuel, Shamuel 26:17. 1 Samuel 26:17. And Shaul recognized David's voice and said, "Is this your voice, my son David? And he says, and David said, "It is my voice, my master, O king." And he said, "Why does my master pursue after his servant? For what have I done? What evil is in my hands? What did I do? I got no evil in my hands. Now therefore, my master, the king, hear the words of your servant. If it is Yahuwah who has stirred you against me, may he accept an offering. But if it is men, may they be cursed before Yahuwah. For they have driven me out this day that I should have no share in the heritage of Yahuwah, saying, go serve other gods." He said, they put me out, they want me to go serve other gods. But guess what he said? "Now therefore let not my blood fall to the earth away from the presence of Yahuwah. For the king of Yashar has come out to seek a single flea, like one who hunts a partridge in the mountains." Then Saul said, "I have sinned. Return, my son, David, because that's the only reason you sent me away." He said, "The only reason you sent me away is just because you want me to go worship other gods, so you have a reason to accuse me. That's the only reason you did it." But he said, "What? Return, my son Daud, for I will no more do you harm, because my life was precious in your eyes this day. Behold, I have acted foolishly and have made a great mistake." You say, how many people are going to say that? How many people are going to say that? He said, "I made a great mistake." Asenov did it. Saul did it. Shaul did it. But how come people can't do it today? He said, "I made a great mistake." And Daud answered and said, "Here is the spear, O king. Let one of the young men come over and take it." And Yahuwah says, Yahuwah rewards every man for his righteousness. Huh? And what? And his faithfulness. He said, "Mashah is faithful all my house. I speak with him mouth to mouth." He said, "Miriam, you know not to be in that man's face like that." And it says, "For Yahuwah gave you into my hand today, and I would not put my hand against Yahuwah's anointed, against Yahuwah's Mashiach." He said, "I'm not doing that." He was David, who what? Who was a man after Yahuwah's own heart, who did things that people would condemn today as wrong. Right? He committed adultery, did all these things, but he said, "I'm not going to touch Yahuwah's Mashiach though. I'm not touching Yahuwah's son. I'm not going to be speaking, I'm not scoffing against Yahuwah's son. I'm definitely not going to put my hand on to kill him." And it says, "Behold, as your life was precious this day in my sight, so may my life be precious in the sight of Yahuwah." Because you're only going to be wise for yourself. You get what it says? "And may deliver me out of all this tribulation." Then that's the only way you're going to get delivered out of it. Then Saul said to Daud, "Barak are you, my son David. You will do many things and will succeed in them." He said, he blessed him. He barak him. The man who was doing evil, trying to take him out, kill him, and causing the worship of the gods, because of the spirit that was inside of him, said he made a mistake, repented, and then he baraked him and said, you will succeed in this. So David went his way and Saul returned his place. He said, you're going to be barak. Right, so this is the book of, this is the last couple of things. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 27. Matthew 27, verse 11. It says, now Yahushua stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, are you the Malach of Yahudim? Yahushua said, you have said so. But when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave him no answer. He said, he ain't even giving no answer. Why he ain't giving no answer? He said, man, he was quiet. He gave him no answer. Then Pilate said to him, do you not hear how many things they testify against you? But he gave them no answer. Not even a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Right? So this is the book of, he was greatly amazed. He was greatly amazed. Right? So this is the book of Qahalath. This is the book of Qahalath, Ecclesiastes. Qahalath, Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, verse 16. It says, but I say that wisdom is better than might. Because, wisdom, that's how you build a house. That's how you wage your war. Matter of fact, testimony of Yahushua are my counselors. It says, by wisdom because wisdom builds a house. By hukmah is better than might. Though the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard, why do you think Yahushua was quiet? The words of the wise are heard in quiet. Why do you think Yahushua was quiet the whole time? He answered not a word. And are better than the shouting of a ruler among fools. Why do you think the elders and the scribes and the people were accusing him? They were a bunch of fools. Yahushua was sitting in his wisdom, meditating on the testimonies. All they were speaking of was trouble, as we spoke about. But he said, I'm meditating on your testimonies. He's better than the shouting of rulers among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. Right, so this is the book of, right, so this is the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms, chapter Book of Psalms, chapter 35, verse 19. Let not those rejoice over me who wrongly my foes, and let not those wink the eye who hate me without a cause. And what it says, for they do not speak peace. They ain't saying shalom. They're not speaking peace. Because ain't no peace, saith Yahuwah to the wicked. So why, if a wicked person ain't got no peace, what make you think they're going to speak peace? Shalom. For they do not speak peace, but against those who are quiet in the land, they devise words of deceit. Words of deceit. They open wide their mouths against me. What do they say? They say, aha, aha, our eyes have seen it. We seen it. We seen what you did. Aha, aha, aha. Get what he said, verse 22. You have seen, O Yahuwah. Be not silent, O Yahuwah. Be not far from me. Awake and rouse yourself for my vindication. For my cause, my Elohim, my master, vindicate me, O Yahuwah, my Elohim. Why do you think Yahushua cried out twice? My Elohim, why hast thou forsaken me? Why do you think he did that? He was asking for vindication. Wait, let's see whether all Yahweh will come and save him. No, they only did that because he was asking for his vindication. Because these people said stuff about me and they did things to me and I ain't do nothing to them. And get what he says. Let them rejoice with me. And let them not say in their hearts, Ahal, our heart's desire. Let them not say, we have swallowed him up. He said, we killed him. We got him to stop. Right, so this is the book of, I think it's Kings. This is so this is the book of Kings. This is the book of it's the book of Second Kings. 2 Kings chapter 2. 2 Kings, I believe, chapter 2. Let me go. 2 Kings chapter 2. Yeah. 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23. 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23. And it says, and he went up from there to Bethel. So he went up to Bethel, to the house. And while he was going up on the way, so he was going up, some small boys came out of the city and jeered at him. He said they mocked him, saying, go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head. He said, go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head. And he turned around, and when he saw them, he cursed them in the name of Yahuwah. And 2 she-bears came out of the woods and tore 42 of the boys, tore them in pieces. For there he went out to Mount Carmel, and from there he returned to Samaria. So he said, go up, thou bald head. This 2 Kings 23. 2 Kings 23. And that word in 2 Kings 23 for go up. That word for second in 2 Kings 23. Get there. 2 Kings 23. 2 Kings, I'm sorry, 2:23. 2:23. 2 Kings 2:23. That word for go up. And it says he turned back and looked and cursed in the name of Yahuwah, and he went forth. There we go. The word for go up is Allah. Allah. He said Allah. Bald head, Allah. They were telling him to ascend. They were mocking him, ascend up, to break up, to ascend up. He said Allah. He said ascend up, Allah, Allah. Send up, ascend up, ascend up. He said, why would he tell them to do that? Right, so this is the book of he said, go up, you bald head. They were mocking him. Right, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 24, Qahalath 24, and 1. Psalms 24:1. The earth is Yahuwah's and the fullness thereof, and the world and those who dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the rivers. Who shall ascend to the heart of Yahuwah? Who gonna go up? Who gonna ascend? That word for ascend is Allah. Who gonna Allah to the hill of Yahuwah? And who shall stand in his Kedash's place? He says, he who has clean hands and a pure heart. What did David say to Saul? He said, I have no evil in my hands. What did Asenah realize? Well, Yusuf, he got no evil in his hands, man. He got 2 ruler staff in his hands. And he's shining like the sun. He got 12 stones with 12 rays of light. She said, man, I mocked this man. He said, where am I going to hide? He said, a pure heart who does not lift up his soul to what is false and does not swear deceitfully. Because they devise evil for them who acquire the land. He will receive a barak from Yahuwah and righteousness. He's going to feel what? A blessing. He said, barak them like you barak me. My 7 virgins. Barak them, bless them like you bless me. And he or she will receive a blessing from Yahuwah and righteousness from Yahuwah from Elohim Yahuwah his salvation. What did she get? She got a Barah. I still got one. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek his face of Elohim Yaakov. Right? This is the book of Yeshayahu 57. Really fast. This is the book of Yeshayahu 57. Yeshayahu 57. Yeshayahu 57 and Yeshayahu 57 and 13. So let's go a little further back. Yes, 57:13. When you cry out, let your collection of the idols deliver you. The wind will carry them off, a breath that will take them away. But he who takes refuge in me shall possess the land and shall inherit my Kudash mountain. Because they got clean hands. Because they wouldn't put out their hand to touch Yahuwah's Mashiach. Because they were like David. I know, even though you drove me away, you did evil to me, tried to get me to worship idols, trying to seek my life and kill me and all that. But one thing I ain't gonna do. I ain't finna kill Yahuwah. I ain't gonna touch Yahuwah's Mashiach, though. I'm not gonna do that. Verse 14 says, and it shall be said, build up, prepare the way, remove every obstruction from my people's way. He said, you don't want to get in the way? Why are you in the way? He said, you don't want to get in the way. Get out of the way. For thus says Yahuwah, the one who is high and lifted up. He said, Allah. The one who what? What did Yahuwah say in Yuchanah chapter 12? He said, if the son of Adam be lifted up, I'm going to draw all people to myself. Allah. Who's going to ascend up? Allah. Who we think them young children were saying? Yahushua. Ascend up. And they were mocking him when they were doing it. Why do you think the scribes and the Pharisees and the chief priests, they all mocked him, saying, you be the son of Yahuwah, come down from the cross, and we believe in you. We be the son of, he said he the Malach of the Yahudim. And get what it says, for thus says Yahuwah, the one who is high and lifted up, who inhabits eternity, whose name is Kudash. I will dwell in the high, in the Kudash place, and also with him who is of a contrite and lowly ruach. To revive the spirit of the lowly, and to revive the heart of the contrite. For I will not contend forever, nor will I be angry, for my ruach would grow faint before me, and the breath of life that I have made. He's like, man, if I keep being angry, the ruach gonna leave me. Why do you think Shaul said in Colossians, like it says, put away anger? Because the ruach gonna leave you if you don't. And your life is gonna be shortened. And your breath, you ain't have no more breath in your body. Right? He said, no breath in my body. Right? Skipping over. Right. So this is Yeshayahu 57, Yeshayahu 57 and 4. Yeshayahu 57 and 4. It says, whom are you mocking? Why do you think them young kids, they didn't even know who they were mocking? That's enough, they didn't know who she was mocking. The people ain't know. He said, who are you mocking? Against whom do you open your mouth wide and stick out your tongue? That's what Kali do, that God Kali. If you ever see the pictures, that God Kali that they serve, she stick out her tongue. You see women do that. You see some men do that too. Then who you mocking and sticking out your tongue to? And get what it said. Are you not the children of transgression and the offspring of deceit? Because they spread out words of deceit to them that are quiet in the land. Why do you think Yahushua said they didn't answer not a word? And he said what? You who burn with lust among the oaks, under every green tree, who slaughter your children in the valleys, under the clefts of the rocks, among the smooth stones of the valley is your portion. They are your lot, to them you have poured out drink offerings. He said, you did all that. He said, y'all did all of that, right? Right, so this is the last couple of things that we finished. This is the book of. This is Yeshayahu 52. Yeshayahu 52 and 12. Yeshayahu 52 and 12. It says, "For you shall not go out in haste, and you shall not," Yeshayahu 52 and 12, "and you shall not go in flight, for Yahuwah will go before you. The Elohim Yasharah will be your rear guard." Right there, when the children of Yasharah came out of Mizraim, what happened? He said, man, you seen that the pillar of light, the Malachi, went from before them and went in between them, between Mizraim and the children of Yasharah. He was going before them and he went in between them and he became their rear guard. And guess what happened? Mizraim realized Yahuwah fighting for them because they were in the way. He said, you just read it, he's going to move all the obstacles out of their way. Because everybody getting in the way. What you getting in the way for? And he says, "For he grew up before him like a young plant." You ever grew up on a young plant? Keep everything away from that young plant. "And like a root out of the dry ground. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men." Notice how Yusuf was a man to be desired. He said all the women became weak when they seen Yusuf walk in the house. When he walked through Mizraim, all of them wanted to sleep with him. They all became weak. He's like, man, that boy, man, he looked good. He's like, man, he became weak. And guess what happened? "And he had no form or majesty that we should look at him." You know why they couldn't look at him anymore? Because they put their hand on Yahuwah Mashiach. They took a reed and beat him in the head. They put a crown of thorns on his head. Usually one ugly. They beat him in the head with a reed. They put a crown of thorns on his head. They spit in his face. Now he ain't got no form. Nope, nobody gonna want you now. Nobody ain't gonna want you now. Ha ha, look at you. We gonna falsely accuse you. Ain't no woman gonna want you now. Look what we put in public record. Look what we did to you. Look what we did to you in public. Look what we in public humiliated you. Nobody ain't gonna want you now. No woman ain't gonna want you now. Look how ugly you are now to the world. So they thought. "And his form and majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men and women." Because nobody wanted him anymore. "A man of sorrows, acquainted with grief." It was in Yeshayahu 53, but guess what? We read it for a reason. Some reason. But here we go. We're going to 52. Yeshayahu 52:13. "Behold, my servant shall act wisely, and he shall be high and lifted up, and he shall be exalted." He's going to be Allah. He's going to ascend. "Go up, thou bald head. Go up, thou bald head." You wasn't bald. They say after they ripped all his hair out of his head, he was bald. They plucked out his beard. You wasn't bald. Because that was a sin. We weren't supposed to have bald head when we ministered. But guess what they had to do? They had to pluck out his bald head, make him bald head. "Go up, thou bald head, ascend up." Like they did Yashua. Not even knowing what they were doing. "Behold, my servant shall act wisely. He shall be high and lifted up, and shall be exalted." Because you got to be wise. You be wise for yourself. Because wisdom build a house. "And many were astonished at you, and his appearance was marred beyond human semblance." Like he couldn't even look at a human anymore. He had so much blood on his face. He was beat up so bad. His hair was all pulled out. Ain't nobody gonna want you no more. That's what they hoping. But Yahusha was beautiful and he was made ugly. And his ugliness and his beatdown, his ugliness and his aftermath is more beauty for us than his actual beauty that he was in the earth when he ain't had that. Because had that not happened, we wouldn't have eternal life. But it says, "And many were astonished at you, and his appearance was so marred beyond human resemblance, and his form beyond children of mankind. Shall he sprinkle many nations, and kings shall shut their mouths." He said they're going to do what? They're going to shut their mouths because of him. Now they're going to be quiet, because the wicked was like a troubled sea. They can't be quiet. They couldn't shut up. But being that now he done got beat, now he done did what he did, he said, it is written to me to do thy will, Yahuwah. Now they gonna shut up. Now y'all can be quiet, wicked people. Because there's no peace, said Ma'alahi, to the wicked. They can't be quiet. All they take up is dirt and mirror, but now you can shut up. You can be quiet. He said, you be quiet. So this is the book of, all right, so this is the book of, this is the book of Acts chapter 22, Acts chapter 22, verse 1. It says, brothers and fathers, hear my defense that I now make before you. And when they heard that he was addressing them in the Hebrew Abri Lashon, his language, Lashon, what did they do? They became even more quiet. And he said, Ani Yahudi. He said, born of Tarshish, a Sicilian, but brought up in a city, educated at the feet of Gamaliel, according to the strict manner of the Torah of our fathers, being zealous for Elohim, as all you are this day. I persecuted this way to death, binding and delivering to prison both men and women, as the High Kahan and the whole council of the elders can bear witness. From them I received letters to the brothers that I journeyed toward Damascus, to take those who were there and to bring them into bonds to Jerusalem to be punished. And as I was on my way, I drew near to Damascus, and about noontime, what happens at noontime? The sun is at its full strength. Man, all 12 rays of light are shining right on you. All 12 rays of light. And about noontime, a great light from Shamayim suddenly shone around me. And he says, and I fell down to the ground. He said, I saw a man clothed with this. I saw a woman clothed with the sun and the moon at his feet. He said, man, I fell at his feet. And what happened? And I heard a voice saying to me, Shaul, Shaul, why are you persecuting me? What you mocking me for? What you mocking me for? And I answered, who are you, master? Because he did it in ignorance, like asking him. And get what he said. And he said to me, I am Yahusha of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting. I am Yahusha of the land of Canaan, a son of Elohim. He said. Now those who were with me saw the light. Well, they saw the light. Asenath's parents and them saw the light. They saw the orb, but did not understand. Why do you think the man told, when the man came in the Asenath chamber after she repented, he said, you understand what I just showed you? She said, yeah. He said, you see what I see? You see what I showed you? He said, behold, I just show you the mysteries of Yahuwah. The voice of the one whom was speaking to me. But they did not understand the voice of the one who was speaking to me. He said, they ain't understand it. He said, I don't understand what you're saying. What are you talking about? And I said, what shall I do, master? And the master said to me, rise and go to Damascus, and there you will be told that it is appointed for you to do. What is appointed for you to do? And get what he says. And since I could not see, because of the brightness of the light, I was led by the hand by those who were with me, and came to Damascus. He said, I couldn't even see because of the light. Right, so this is the book of Timothy. This book of Timothy. First, it says 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1. First of all, then, I urge that supplication and prayers and intercessions and thanksgiving and praises be made for all people. For who? For all people. For everybody. For all people. That's Shem Ham Yefet. All the way from Ashkenaz all the way to Ham, to Asher, to Shem, all the lineages, all the Goim, all the people. He said all people. Why? For kings, even the kings, he told they're going to be quiet after this. For kings and for all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful, because we're supposed to be peace. We may lead a peaceful and quiet life. Because we mess around and say something out of our mouth, man, you mess around, you be against your will. You mess around, you start mocking Yahushua. Again. And you won't be ignorant this time. And get what it says. Righteous, godly, and dignified in every way. This is what? Good. Because when he made Adam, it was good and very good. He baraked him too. He said, you baraked me. He said, you baraked me. It says, who desires all people to be saved. All people to be saved. And to come to the knowledge of the truth. That righteousness, the everlasting righteousness, that Torah is the truth. And it's the testimony of Yahushua Mashiach. Because you need to think not, I've come to destroy the Torah. Or to not mean, I've not come to destroy it or to get rid of it. I can't even fulfill it. And guess what it says? For there is one Elohim. When you heard that at? Akkad, first day of creation. There's only one Elohim. And there is only one mediator between Yahuwah and men. That man, Adam, the second Adam, Yahushua Mashiach, who gave himself as a ransom for us all, which is the testimony given at its proper time. The testimony of Yahushua is the Ruach of prophecy. As a matter of fact, it's the counselors. It's the counselors. For this, I was appointed a preacher, it's a proclaimer, and a shalakim, and I am telling the truth, and I am not lying. A teacher of the Goim is in Amunah and truth. Right, so this is a book, this last couple things, this is the book of, this Ode Shalom, Odes of Solomon, Odes of Solomon, Odes of Solomon, chapter 15, verse 1. It says, as the sun is my joy to them who seeks it at daybreak, so is my joy Yahuwah, because he is my son, and his rays has restored me, just like a plant that gets the sun when it gets water. And he said, his rays have restored me, and his light has diminished all darkness from my face. Well, he said, man, I couldn't even see because of the brightness of his light, because Shaul was in dark. He said, what you persecuting me for? What's wrong with you? He said, I couldn't even see after that. Because he was in dark. He said, I couldn't even see after I saw that light. And get what it says. Eyes I have possessed in him. Why do you think he went blind? Why do you think Shaul went blind? He's like, man, eyes I possessed in him, man. Look at here. I can't even see. And have seen his Kudash day. He said, man, I've seen it. I could testify. When I saw him, man, I went blind. And get what it says. Ears I have acquired, and I have heard his truth. Because everybody else around me couldn't understand when the words of his voice that he spoke. Because he had ears. I acquired some ears, and I heard it. And get what it says. The thought of knowledge I have acquired, and have lived fully through him. I abandoned the way of error, and went toward him, and received salvation from him generously. Why do you think Shaul would abandon the way of error? Why do you think all the people, why do you think Asenab obeyed the way of error? Why do you think David obeyed the way of error? Why do you think he did that? Why do you think Miriam obeyed the way, I say abandoned the way of error, and Yahuwah healed her skin? God was in error. I shouldn't have done that. And get what happened? And get what it says. I abandoned the way of error, and then went toward him and received salvation from him generously. According to his generosity he gave me, and according to his majestic beauty he made me. I have put on incorruption, because to be allied with wisdom is immortality. Through his name, and stripped off all of corruption by his con. Death has been destroyed before my face, and Sheol has been vanquished by my debar, by my word. And eternal life has risen in Yahuwah's land, and it has become known to his faithful ones. This man Mashah, he's faithful on my house. He said, you know what, I'm going to mouth to mouth. Mouth to mouth. It says, and been given without limit to all who trust in him. He said, given to without limit. He said, to all who trust in him. Right. So this is all who trust in him. Right. So this is the book of Sirach. So this is the book of Sirach. This is the book of Sirach. Sirach chapter 21, verse 11. Sirach 21 and verse 11. It says, he that keepeth the Torah of Yahuwah getteth the understanding thereof. But what is our wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations? According to Deuteronomy chapter 4. He said, keep the commandments. He said, for this is your wisdom and your knowledge and your understanding in the sight of the nations. Let supplications and prayers be made for all people. Because it's supposed to be your wisdom and your understanding inside of all the people. No matter what color skin they are, no matter what place they are from, whether they are a Swiss German, they speak Swiss German, or whether they speak Fikri, they speak Ethiopian language, or Moroccan, or Espanol, it doesn't matter. He said, all the people. You know what it says? It says, or Yahuwah, it says, he that keepeth the Torah of Yahuwah getteth understanding thereof, and the perfection of the fear of Yahuwah is wisdom. He said, that's perfection. He said, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and ruach, perfecting kudash in the fear of Yahuwah. And the only way you're going to do that is through wisdom. That's the only way. Because the testimony of Yahushua is the ruach of prophecy. Right? That's the only way. All right, so this is the last thing. This is Ode Shaloma chapter 12, verse 1. Ode Shaloma chapter 12, verse 1. It says, he has filled me with words of truth, that I may proclaim him. And like the flowing waters, truth flows from my mouth, and my lips declare his fruits. And he has caused his knowledge to abound in me, the abound in me, because the mouth of Yahuwah is the true Debar, word, and the doors of his light. And the Most High has given him to his generations, which are the interpreters of his beauty, and the narrators of his kabod, and the confessors of his thoughts, and the preachers of his mind, and the teachers of his works. For the subtlety of the word is inexpressible, and like the expression, so also is the swiftness of his acuteness. For limitless is his path. He never falls, but remains standing. Why do you think everybody fall at his feet? And then, you know what people say? I ain't gonna fall at his feet. Even as the Yark, even as the moon bows at the sun's feet, so shall you fall at his feet. Right? He says, he never falls, but remains standing. And one cannot know the descent or his way. For as his work is, so is his expectation. said, I sold it. I'm expecting light. He said, I'm expecting light when I sow light. I'm not expecting darkness. For he is the light and the dawning of what? He's the light and the dawning of your thoughts. Your makashaba, your yetzer, your lab, your labab, your lab, your labab. It's the dawning of your thoughts. And you know what happens when he's the dawning of your thoughts? It's the last thing right here. It's the last thing right here, and then we're finished. This is it's the last thing. It's the book of 1 John, Aleph Yehukanan, Akkad Yehukanan, 1 verse 5. It says, this is the message that we have heard from him and proclaimed to you, that Yahuwah is light. He said, I put all or inside of you. I sow light. Yahuwah is light, he sows light. Yahuwah is or, and in him is no darkness at all. He said, he removed all darkness from our face. If we say we have fellowship with him while we walk in darkness, we lie, we kazab, and do not practice the truth. But if we walk in the light, as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another. And the blood of Yahushua Mashiach, the Son, cleanses us from all sin. If we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves. Because you're only going to be wise for yourself. Right? And he said right here, he said, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, why do you think Asenov did that? He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins, and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us. Because what is the bar supposed to do? It's light. It's supposed to show you your sin. But if it's not in you, you would think you ain't did no sin. You ain't think you did nothing wrong, because the light ain't got in you yet. He said, when it's a light get inside of you, once the ore get inside of you, and you see your darkness, you realize, I'm a sinner. But the people, when the woman came to be at his feet, the scribes and the Pharisees like, man, you know this woman's a sinner? But then Yahushua looking around at everybody, he's like, Peter, look, I got something to tell you. Let me tell you something. You see this woman right here? She kept doing that. She was at my feet and she kept doing it. And guess what happened? You know what happened to her? I healed her. I'm going to forgive her sins too. These other people around me talking about she's a sinner, I guess they don't really realize that they sinners too. He said, you want too? And it says right here, it says, that's the last thing. That's it. So, yeah, this is one more verse part of my mind. This is Psalm chapter 10, verse 1. This is Psalm chapter 10, verse 1. It says, why, O Yahuwah, do you stand far away? And why do you hide yourself in the times of trouble? In arrogance, the wicked hotly pursue the poor. Let them be caught in the schemes that they have devised. For the wicked boasts of the desires of his soul. And get what it says. And one greedy of gain curses and renounces Yahuwah. He said they boast. And he said in the desires of his soul, man, you renounced Yahuwah. And get what he said. Because, you know, he said, man, David's like, man, you try to get me to worship idols. He said, man, you try to get me to cast away Yahuwah. Isn't that what you try to get me to do? And get what he says, verse 4 says, in the pride of his face, the wicked does not seek him, because they like the trouble sea, like dirt and mirror. And his thoughts are, there is no Elohim. His way prospers all the time. He boasts in abundance of everything he done did. And get what he said? He prospers at all times. And guess what happens? Your judgments are on high, out of his sight. He's like, he don't even see it. He's like, man, your judgment way up there. He's like, it's way out of your sight. You don't even see what's coming. And get what he said. As for all his foes, he puffs at them. Anybody, he's like, man, he puffs at them. I say, puff the magic dragon. And then what did he do? He says in his heart, I shall not be moved. Not from what I'm doing. He said, I ain't going to be moved. I don't believe that. And get what he says. Throughout all generations, I shall not meet adversity. Ain't nothing going to happen to me for doing that. Verse 7 says, his mouth is filled with cursing and deceit and oppression. Under his tongue are mischief and iniquity. It kicks up dirt and meal. And get what it says. He sits in ambush in the villages, but he's sitting and waiting. And yet he says, in hiding places, he murders the innocent. This last thing, his eyes stealthily watch for the helpless. He lurks in ambush like a lion in the thicket. He lurks that he may seize the poor, and seize the poor when he draws him into his net. Because you know what's going to happen? They're going to press the poor, take everything they got, and use it for his own personal gain, right? And guess what happens? The helpless are crushed, sink down, and fall by his might, because there ain't no way they can stop. They helpless. He says in his heart, Yahuwah has forgotten. He has hidden his face, and he will never see. That's what they think. Arise, O Yahuwah Elohim. Oh, you mean Allah. Get up. My servant be very high. Lift up your hand. Forget not the afflicted. Lift up your right hand. Smite it in the 7 channels. Matter of fact, make the streams flow clear as crystal like oil. Why does the wicked renounce Elohim and say in his heart, you will not call to account? Because every man will give an account. Every man, woman, and child will give an account. But you do see for you no mischief and vexation, that you may take it into your hands. To you the helpless commits himself. You have been the helper of the followers. Break the arm of the wicked and the evildoers. Call his wickedness to account till you find none. Because Yahuwah is light. And once the light gets inside of you, he said there'll be no darkness at all. So we look at all that, look at the truth, look at the bar of Yahuwah, and there's a lot more. But we look at his knowledge and understanding, and we look at being the light in the world. He's giving us the light as a near and a lampstand, a menorah, but also allowing our bodies to be that tabernacle. For know ye not that your body is a temple of Yahuwah? And he prepared a tent for the sun. He prepared your body for the shamash, that you may, 12 rays of light, that it may shine through you in the world. For no man lights the candle and put it under the table or near under the table. They put it on top of the table, on a lampstand, on a menorah, that all may see the light in the world. For we are, he said, for the people of the promise, and the meek and the humble, the innocent, those whom Yahuwah will redeem, not with corruptible things, with silver and gold, with precious blood, knowing that they must walk in love and Ahal continually in the earth, that people may see the light and walk in the light, and see your wisdom and knowledge and understanding through keeping the commandments, through obeying the Torah, and walking in truth for everyone. Now, not only for those who believe in the moon, especially for those who believe in the moon, but for all men. For we look at ourselves, we look at our inner man, we look at our inner man, we take account of who we are on our inner life, in our inner being. We look at the words that one has spoken, we look at the words that one has thought, we look at the words that one has taken into action that were raw and were sight. He's noted them all down. But he sends his light to cast all darkness from inside of you, that you may be light, that you may see no more darkness anymore. Right? So for the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.